In 2020, the Trump campaign apparently commissioned research or a research firm to try to prove that there was widespread election fraud in specific states that essentially stole the election from Trump and awarded it to Biden. Now, turns out that the study, the look into potential voter fraud, didn't turn up the results that Trump was looking for. And so he tried to suppress the results, which is why we're now hearing about it today. Now, the campaign paid researchers from Berkeley Research Group to study 2020 election results in 6 states, looking for fraud and irregularities to highlight in public and in the courts. Among the areas examined were voter machine malfunctions, instances of dead people voting, and any evidence that could help Trump show that he actually won. None of the findings were presented to the public or in court. And the reason why they were never presented to the public is because Trump didn't like the results. He spent $600,000 to have this study done. And about a dozen people at the firm worked on the report, including econometricians who use statistics to model and predict outcomes. And the states that they specifically looked at were Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. Now, one person who was familiar with the work said this: they looked at everything. Change of addresses, illegal immigrants, ballot harvesting, people voting twice, machines being tampered with, ballots that were sent to vacant addresses that were returned and voted. Literally anything you could think of. Voter turnout anomalies, date of birth anomalies, whether dead people voted. If there was anything under the sun that could be thought of, they looked at it. But what they found was there wasn't actually widespread voter fraud, not even close. While the researchers believe there were voting anomalies and unusual data patterns in a few states, along with some instances in which laws may have been skirted, they did not believe the anomalies were significant enough to make a difference in who won the election. And apparently when they were reciting the findings of their report to Trump, he lost it. The call became incredibly combative because look, Berkeley Research Group didn't realize what Trump hired them for. He didn't hire them for a fair investigation and look into what transpired during the election. He hired them and paid them $600,000 so they could serve as his mouthpiece without any evidence, without any proof, just say that the election was stolen from Trump. That's what he paid them for. They just didn't realize it.
Yeah, so $600,000, by the way, is $600,000 more than he gave to the Republican candidates in the Georgia runoffs. So part of the reason he said that he raised the money was, I'm gonna help other Republicans. Didn't do it at all. So I tell you that because to him, remember, he's a total liar. The idea that he's a billionaire is a joke. $600,000 is a lot of money to him. So he's like, and he's never understood the concept of, like, for example, the attorney general doesn't work for you, they work for the United States of America. You happen to just hire him for that position, but he's not your personal lawyer. The moron has literally never understood that, doesn't understand it to this day. So when he hires somebody for $600,000, he thinks, okay, your job is to lie for me. And they're like, no, our job, wait, that's not in the job description. The job description is we're supposed to investigate all these things. We did, and by the way, we found some anomalies, the ones that Anna's referring to. Now, here's the part that really set them off. They're like, as it turns out, the anomalies were on both sides.
Let me give you an exact quote that was reported in the Washington Post. None of these were significant enough, referring to the anomalies. Just like any election, there are always errors, omissions, and irregularities. It was nowhere close enough to what they wanted to prove, and it actually went in both directions.
Oops.
I guess very inconvenient for Mr. Trump, sorry.
Yeah, there's another important fact here. By the way, of course, I want to remind you guys every time dozens of judges, including judges appointed by Republicans and Donald Trump himself, they all looked at the cases that Trump brought, the evidence that they brought forward, and all said nonsense. You have no evidence that these elections were tampered with, there was significant fraud, or that any result would have changed at all, okay? So, but I know Republicans don't care about facts, so let's move on. The other relevant and interesting data point here is this was done before January 6th. So before he gave that speech, before he sent out the tweets, before he egged everybody on to go to the Capitol and to do all those things, before he wouldn't when he said on January 6th to his chief of staff that he didn't mind that they were threatening to execute Mike Pence. He knew already. He had this report. There definitely wasn't fraud. There's definitely not enough to overturn the election. There's no evidence, and whatever evidence exists, it's small and on both sides. And he's like, I don't care. I'm gonna pretend it was stolen anyway. The biggest crook in American history. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.